Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. Welcome to the Masterclass, written by Deathclock36. Humans were a new species, perhaps not new, but new to us. Their application to join the United Systems had been received shortly after first contact, and had been duly approved shortly thereafter. Humans had appeared, first in small groups, then in a flood as they strove to consume knowledge of the wider galaxy, as though they had been starved for millennia, which I suppose was true. Their traders and merchants were loud and brash and seemingly in awe of the plethora of products that could be bought and sold on the galactic scale. Many Glarak merchants were forced to stand by in absolute befuddlement, as the human traders seemingly had a meltdown about something as simple as star salts. Human products soon flooded our market, and it was now the Glarak merchants' turn to stand waiting, while a confused human wondered if they were going to buy the silk cloth or begin worshipping it. Our lasting surprise came when we called upon the human military to make its contribution to peacekeeping, as all member systems are required to do. As a test of their military capacity, we invited them to take part in a war game with several of our leading militant races. We did not expect much from the mercantile humans. Surely, their military might, such as it was, must be for the protection of trading caravans, more used to seeing off the poorly trained and equipped pirates that sometimes raided for riches in other sectors. How wrong we were. Reminiscing about the events of the first war game causes great amusement nowadays. But let me assure you, dear listeners, that, at the time, it was a diplomatic disaster. The humans arrived in their ugly, box-like ships and marched down the boarding ramps in perfect lockstep that would, and did, put the Sakari infantry to shame. Perhaps it was a professional jealousy, but they were wildly derided in the staging area for showing up with their newly forged pulse rifles without effective body armor or hovering tanks. They looked, for all the galaxy, like children come to play soldier in the flak armor with crude rotating wing aircraft and noisy monstrosities that rolled along on the ground on tracks. Befitting their status as both newcomer and merchants, they were assigned as the opposition force. They were to take positions and hold them while the real soldiers had a nice warm-up rolling over them in the first stage. Their grizzled-looking general simply nodded curtly when informed and returned to his troops to begin the day-long preparations before the assault would begin. Our militant races enjoyed a day of R&R, laughing and mocking the humans who labored out to sight, prepared to get the objective that they would dismantle in mere hours for the following day. When the suns rose the next day, the United Systems military might formed up in an unstoppable hammer of pure aggressive force and charged the objective en masse, each of them eager to haze the little merchants into a proper place. It was a massacre. Luckily, only non-lethal ammunition was supplied, otherwise the United Army would have been crippled by the afternoon. The hammer came upon the objective town to find the veritable fortress, miles of trenching, earthen walls, and brutal barbed cabling that the humans are so fond of. Undeterred, the army plunged headlong into the defenses, being met by a wall of disciplined and accurate pulse and artillery fire. Casualties were astronomical. The attack lasted only for an hour before the United Army pulled back to lick its wounds, and what wounds they were. Around 30% of the infantry and 65% of the armored units had been sent from the field, rubbing sore limbs or trying to get their disabled tank restarted. Surprised but unbowed, the United Army redoubled their efforts and made a series of lightning assaults all around the human perimeter. They didn't even reach the defenses. Before infantry could finish warming up, humans would appear and wipe them out before clambering about a swift-wheeled transport and disappearing before reprisals could descend upon them. Airfields were attacked from unexpected quarters deep within friendly territory by small mobile units of elite human soldiers, and their flyers were disabled before they could get off the ground. Tanks were lured into ravines and forests by fleeing human armor, only for that armor to turn around on them and tear them apart in vicious melee firefights, picking the United armor apart piecemeal. The United Army suffered terribly. A further 40% of the infantry and half of what remained of the armor was sent back to the staging area. The air fleet was annihilated almost completely. Again, the United Army pulled back. With night falling, they decided to regroup and rethink their strategy before continuing the assault at sunrise the following day. They did not get a chance. Human artillery began the surprise counterattack with a planet-shaking bombardment. Under the cover of the rain of shells, human armor, supported by infantry, roared into the chaotic mess that was the United Army camp. When the artillery stopped firing, the human flyers screamed overhead, spewing tides of, happily, non-lethal ammunition and airborne soldiers. The attack lasted 2 hours after dark, and every commander on our side was captured or killed in the first 15 minutes. The rout was total, and victory went to the humans. The following morning, the victorious human general addressed his fellows with the first words that he had spoken. As the exhausted and humiliated United Army commanders sat in the briefing chamber in one of their ships, General Hansen made his appearance. Gone was the split-polished dress uniform. The man wore the same simple fatigues and black armor as his men, the only difference to his rank being a badge on his hat. He took the podium as his opposite numbers glared at him from their ranks. He stared around the room for a moment, seemingly weighing the quality of those around him. "How have you all survived this long?" he said as he smiled. "That was an amateur hour out there. I have rookie units green as the sky on this planet. Who would have done better than the pride of the Galactic Army?" There were murmurs of distaste at this point, but no disagreement. How could we disagree? A force 1/5 the size of our own had wiped the deck with us. "Now, here is what I propose. You all submit yourselves to some training under a couple of our officers, and we'll see if we can't make soldiers out of you yet." The following months were difficult for the diplomats. There were threats of mutiny and counter-threats, in somewhat poor taste, truth be told, of sending the humans to sort you out. But in the end, the general got what he wanted. I now congratulate you all on your day of graduation from General Hansen Military Academy and wish you all the best in your coming careers amongst the stars. I leave you with the General's motto to keep in mind as you keep peace in the wider galaxy. Never underestimate your enemies. End of story. Story number 2. Courtship Behaviors, written by Marilyn of Many. The space station marketplace was bustling with crowds and conversation. But when a voice spoke from behind, I was pretty sure the question was for me. "Can I ask you something?" said the nervous voice. I turned to see a feathery alien of species I hadn't met yet, looking like a flustered eagle. Oh no, more like a secretary bird. Those with long-legged ones with kick snakes, right? This one had shiny white feathers with a pearlescent shimmer, and some very anxious body language. "Sure," I said, prepared for anything. Was this a question about the courier ship that I'd come in on? A question about Earthlings? Something for me specifically? Option B. "Do humans do mating dances?" the bird asked in a rush. Sort of," I said, thinking quickly. "We have dances with a lot of people together, and courting couples might use it as an excuse to show off or get close to one another." "But, not individual dances?" the bird asked, fidgeting with clawed hands. Those claws were painted with what looked like human nail polish, awfully similar to the color my cousin was fond of, called pinking of you. "Maybe sometimes," I said. "Why do you ask?" Pearl-white feathers ruffled into an endearing puffball. "My advances are being ignored," the alien admitted. "I'm starting to doubt whether my human even realizes. We've been working together for many cycles now, and I like to think that we know each other well, but—" The alien drifted off into a plaintive chirp. "Has the human done anything that looked like a courtship gestures to you?" I asked. "Maybe. I don't know. I thought the food sharing was just kindness, but it's become a regular thing. And surely asking to wear one of my shed feathers as a decoration is significant, right? I don't know anymore." "Wait," I said. "Is this the human with the blue hair that I just saw over that way? The one buying a feather care kit and a necklace with a heart-shaped pendant?" The bird-like alien stifled, feathers smoothing out. "A heart shape like this," I said, tracing a heart shape in the air. "It's a sign of love." "It is?" feathers fluttered everywhere as the alien hopped in place. Is that why? I had no idea. Go talk to your human, I said. Maybe you can eat food and go dancing together. I will, thank you. The bird pranced off, jumping to see over the crowd like an excited teenager. I thought about calling out directions to the nearest dance club, since this space station had some great ones. But it occurred to me that the human probably knew, and they could probably find out together. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.